The skies over Makoko, Lagos, burned orange that night. Three boys, Jabari, Keon, and Silas, crouched under thick banana leaves by the dark waters of the lagoon, their bodies covered in soot and fear. Moments ago, they had escaped a blazing shed, their prison for the night. Their only crime? Begging for leftover iba and ogbono from their master's scraps. They hadn't stolen, but in the house of Chief Odowell, an oil merchant from Enugu, begging was equal to betrayal. The boys were orphans, taken from distant villages, Ilaje, Ikom, and Isuka. Brought to Lagos under false promises of schooling, they had instead become house servants, invisible shadows in Odowell's compound. That night they tried to run, but as Jabari climbed through a loose panel, Silas tripped, knocking a kerosene lamp. The fire spread fast. Their screams were swallowed by the night, their escape soaked in river mud and fear. Suddenly a calm voice broke the silence. "What are you doing here?" It was a girl, no older than them, with a basket of wet clothes balanced on her head and eyes that glowed like dawn. We ran," Jabari stammered. The girl didn't ask more. She led them barefoot to an abandoned canoe hut her late father once used. That night she brought them boiled yam, fish soup, in silence. "I'm Mina," she whispered. "You can stay here. Tomorrow I'll take you to someone who can help." The boys barely slept, but Mina's quiet strength wrapped around them like a blanket. By morning she was gone, but something inside them had shifted. For the first time in years, they felt seen. 15 years later, Lagos had swallowed their past like a flood. Jabari, Keon, and Silas were no longer hungry boys hiding under banana leaves. They were now known as the Lagos Three Titans of oil, real estate, and logistics. Their names graced magazines, their towers kissed the skyline, but none of them ever forgot the girl who fed them by the lagoon, who vanished like a whisper before dawn. It was during a charity gala at Tafawa Balewa Square that the past caught up with them. Silas had just stepped off stage after delivering a speech on social reinvestment when he saw her, a woman in faded ankara, barefoot, holding a wooden bowl in front of a burnt-down bakery. Her eyes were sunken, her hair wild with neglect, but her gaze, steady and kind, pierced right through him. He froze mid-step. "Mina," he whispered, barely breathing. The cameras flashed, the crowd cheered, but Silas no longer heard any of it. He was 13 again, muddy and trembling by the water. He pushed through the crowd, ignoring his security detail. As he knelt before her, people gasped. "It's me, Silas. You helped us. Do you remember?" The woman blinked, then nodded slowly. "I remember the boys," she said. "I just never thought you'd remember me." Silas's eyes filled with tears. "We looked for you, for years." Mina shook her head. "After my father died in prison and my mother fell ill, I couldn't leave. I begged. I faded." Keon and Jabari watched from the sidelines, stunned. "It's her," Keon whispered, and in that moment, surrounded by whispers and wealth, the weight of an old debt came rushing back. It was time to repay what they could never forget. They took Mina from the crowd quietly, slipping her through the back exit of the gala. Silas draped his designer coat over her shoulders, shielding her from curious eyes and camera flashes. At the Grand Royal Hotel in Victoria Island, she hesitated at the entrance, her bare feet resisting the gleaming marble floors. "You're safe here," Silas whispered. "You don't have to hide anymore." She clutched her bowl tighter, like a lifeline. The hotel staff watched, unsure whether to stare or bow. Mina, once invisible, now stood between past and present, unbelonging to both. Inside the plush suite, she sat on the edge of a velvet couch, still not believing what her eyes saw. Jabari brought her water. Keon handed her a warm wrapper. "You changed our lives, Mina," Jabari said gently. "We owe you everything." She looked at them, these men in tailored suits and polished shoes, and gave a sad smile. "But I never asked for anything. Who would believe me if I did?" Silence fell over the room like a fog. Then softly she added, "After you left, they accused my father of hiding fugitives. He was arrested and died in prison. My mother lost her mind. I buried her with my bare hands." Silas's chest tightened. the weight of guilt wrapped around him like chains. "We were just children. We didn't know," he said, voice shaking. Mina nodded slowly. "You didn't, but I did, and it cost me everything." Jabari stood abruptly. "Then let us fix this. A house, a new life, whatever you need." Mina turned to him, eyes sharp. "Can you give me back my years?" Her question cut deeper than any accusation. In that moment, they understood this wasn't about charity. This was about healing wounds money couldn't touch. And in Silas's heart, something stirred, not just guilt, but something he hadn't dared feel in years. Love. The next morning, Mina awoke to sunlight pouring through lace curtains and a tray of warm breakfast beside her bed. Boiled yam, garden egg sauce, and a handwritten note from Silas. "You're not forgotten. Not ever." She stared at it for a long time, holding her mother's tattered scarf in her lap. The guards outside her door stood like silent sentinels, but she still felt like a stranger in a story that didn't belong to her. Downstairs, the brothers argued. "She should move into our Banana Island estate," Silas insisted. "She deserves the best." Jabari shook his head. "That's not what she needs. You can't wrap her in gold and expect her to forget the ashes." Keon leaned forward. "You two still don't get it. This isn't about rescuing her. She doesn't want to be saved. She wants to be heard." The words hung heavy in the air. Silas sighed. "When she helped us, she was the strong one. Now I feel like I owe her more than just gratitude." Later that day, they drove Mina to the last place she had called home, an abandoned plot on the outskirts of Agege. The hut was gone. In its place, weeds grew through broken blocks. Mina stepped out of the car and walked slowly, her eyes scanning the ghosts of her past. "I used to dream of just one more day here," she whispered. Silas moved beside her, hesitant. "We can rebuild it stronger, safer." But Mina turned, eyes weary. "You're trying to fix the past, Silas, but the past doesn't want to be fixed. It wants to be heard." Her words struck him like thunder. She wasn't just a face from his childhood. She was the truth he had buried, now staring back at him, unforgiving, unbroken. Back at the hotel that evening, Silas couldn't sleep. Mina's words echoed in his chest like a song he couldn't forget. The city buzzed with traffic and headlines, but all he could hear was the quiet strength in her voice. The past wants to be heard. He found her on the balcony of her suite, seated beneath the stars, her eyes scanning the Lagos skyline as if searching for a memory. In her lap, she held her mother's scarf again, faded, frayed, and full of meaning. "I've been thinking," Silas said gently as he stepped into the moonlight. Mina didn't turn. "You always think in silence," she murmured. He chuckled softly. "You saved us once. Let us save you now." She finally looked at him. "You think I need saving?" He took a breath, moved closer. "Maybe not, but I want to be part of your story. Not just the ending, but the beginning again." Mina's eyes glistened. "Are you saying this because of guilt or love?" Silas knelt beside her chair. "Because I haven't stopped thinking about you since that night by the lagoon. Back then, I didn't know what it was. But now I do." Tears ran freely down her cheeks. "Do you know what it's like to be invisible? To be forgotten by the world?" Silas looked into her eyes. "Yes, because even after we became everything, I still saw that riverbank every time I closed my eyes." She hesitated, then whispered, "You can't buy my heart, Silas." He reached for her hand. "I don't want to. I want to earn it." Behind them, Jabari and Keon watched from the hallway. Jabari whispered, "If she says yes, everything changes." Keon nodded. "And if she says no, it changes even more." In the quiet, a new chapter had begun, but Mina still carried a secret that could unravel it all. Mina did not sleep that night, while the lights of Lagos glittered outside her window. Her mind wandered to the riverbanks of Makoko, to the fire, and the faces of the boys she once fed. Her heart pulled in two directions toward the comfort of Silas's words and the fear she had learned to live with. From under her mattress, she pulled out a wooden box, chipped with time. Inside lay an old faded letter, its edges soft like cloth and its ink barely legible. Her father's last words. "My daughter, if this letter reaches you, I may no longer be with you. I was punished for protecting those boys. Never be ashamed of kindness. It may cost you everything, but one day, it will protect you." The letter trembled in her hands as tears fell onto the page. At sunrise, she handed the letter to Silas. His hands shook as he read it. The weight of her father's sacrifice settled into his chest like lead. "He died because of us," he said, voice cracking. Mina nodded. "They said he hid fugitives. That merchant lied to the police. No one believed we were just children running from hunger." Just then, Keon and Jabari entered the room, their faces pale. "That merchant, Chief Odawale, he's still alive," Keon said grimly, "and still rich, still powerful." Jabari added, "Maybe it's time the truth came out." Mina's eyes widened. "What are you planning?" Silas looked at her, calm but firm. "Not revenge, truth. We'll give your father his name back." For the first time in many years, Mina didn't feel invisible. And as Silas gently placed the letter back into her box, she whispered the question her heart had buried for so long. Could love truly rewrite the past, or would it be crushed by it? The brothers gathered in their private boardroom high above Victoria Island. Floor-to-ceiling glass windows gave a view of Lagos, but their eyes were focused on what lay in front of them. Old newspaper clippings, court documents, and business records. "We found him," Keon announced. "Chief Dapo Odawale. He rebranded his company years ago. Now he calls himself a philanthropist." Jabari scoffed. "A man who once locked children in a burning shed now funds orphanage galas." Silas's eyes didn't leave the paper in his hands. "Then we expose him with the truth Mina's father died for." Mina stood at the window, quiet, absorbing their words. "What if no one believes me?" she asked softly. "They didn't before." Silas turned to her. "This time you won't speak alone. We speak with you." They made a plan, a press conference backed by real evidence, court records, Mina's father's letter, testimonies. As they worked, Mina sat silently watching them. These men she once fed by the river, now fighting for her. That evening, Silas returned with a carefully wrapped box. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it," he said. Inside was a leather-bound book. On the cover was her father's name, Chibuke Okoro, the man they silenced. His story, handwritten by Silas, edited by Jabari, published by Keon. Mina covered her mouth. "You want to publish this?" "His voice deserves to live," Silas said, "and so does yours." She clutched the book to her chest, tears wetting the leather. For the first time, someone had taken her pain and turned it into purpose. But in the shadows of Abuja, Chief Odawale was already stirring. He had heard whispers about a girl, a book, and a gala, and men like him didn't let ghosts speak. News of the upcoming charity gala spread across Nigeria like dry Harmattan wind through open fields. Every major outlet teased a mysterious announcement from the Lagos Three. Speculations swirled. A new foundation, a political bid. But no one expected the truth. They were preparing to reveal a truth Chief Dapo Odawale had buried under bribes and fear for over a decade. From his marble-clad mansion in Enugu, Odawale watched the press coverage with narrowed eyes. "Who is this girl they're parading around?" he growled. "Mina Okoro," his assistant replied. "Used to live near the lagoon in Makoko. Her father was—" "I know who her father was," Odawale snapped. His voice cracked like a whip. That night, a plain envelope arrived at the front desk of the Grand Royal Hotel. No stamp, no return name. Just one sentence written in sharp black ink. "Some memories are better forgotten. Stay quiet or drown in them." Silas read the note under a lamplight, his face like stone. Jabari cursed, Keon paced. "He's threatening her. That coward!" Silas handed the note to Mina, whose hands trembled as she read it. "This is how it began," she whispered. "Warnings, shadows. And then my father was gone." Silas stepped closer, his voice firm. "We're not your father, Mina. We have power, and we're not afraid." But her face said otherwise. That night, she sat on the hotel rooftop, the wind tugging gently at her scarf, the stars above watching in silence. When Silas found her, he was holding her book, the one they had published together. "You're not standing alone," he said. Mina closed her eyes. She knew if she ran now, she would never stop running. But if she stood, she might finally be free. Somewhere deep inside her, her father's voice whispered, "Let truth rise like the sun." The grand ballroom at the Lagos Continental Hotel shimmered in gold. Red carpets unfurled like rivers of royalty. Chandeliers sparkled like stars, and every major journalist in Nigeria stood poised with cameras, pens, and curiosity. The Lagos Three had promised something bigger than a donation, and the air pulsed with anticipation. But in her hotel suite upstairs, Mina sat frozen before a mirror. She wore a flowing emerald gown sewn by local artisans, her hair braided in neat rows, a necklace around her neck, once belonging to Jabari and Keon's late mother. Yet inside, her heart trembled. A knock came. Jabari stepped in and handed her a folded page. "What's this?" she asked. "Your speech," he said gently. "Your words. You don't have to use them. But if you want to tell your story yourself, these are your weapons." She unfolded the paper. Her truth spilled across the lines like blood, but she shook her head. "I'm not strong enough." Keon entered behind him, pressing something into her hand, a simple bronze necklace. "Our mother's," he said. "She wore it when life got too loud. She said it helped her remember who she was." Mina closed her fingers around it. Slowly she rose. Downstairs, Silas stood backstage, adjusting his collar, heart pounding. Not from fear of crowds, but from the weight of what was coming. Then he saw her. Mina stepped into the light, her emerald dress catching every eye in the room. She no longer looked like the girl by the riverbank. She looked like a queen with fire in her spine. Silas took the microphone. "Tonight isn't about wealth. It's about truth," he said. "Years ago, 3 boys were saved by a girl who had nothing. Her father died for that kindness. But we didn't forget, and neither should you." He stepped aside. Mina approached the mic and dropped the paper. "I was a child when I hid 3 boys, she said, voice steady. "I didn't know what it would cost, but I never regretted it. Not once." The room was silent. Then applause thundered like rain. But in the shadows, Chief Odewale watched from a TV screen, his face dark with rage. "She wants a war," he muttered. "Let's see how far she's willing to go." By dawn, Mina's speech had gone viral. Over 1 million views. Hashtags trended. #RiverGirl, #Mina speaks, #Justice for Chibuki. For the first time, the world saw not a beggar, but a warrior. But Chief Odewale wasn't done. In his study, he unfolded a weathered document, smirking. It was a forged confessio supposedly written by Mina's father before he died. "I took payment to hide the boys. I deserve punishment." A forged signature, a fake seal. He whispered to his lawyer, "Leak it, slowly. Let them choke on doubt." The internet exploded. Was her father a hero or a hustler? Confession or conspiracy? Mina watched it unfold in horror. "That's not my father's writing," she said. Silas, Jabari, and Keon called an emergency meeting with their legal team. "We need proof," the lawyer said. Mina's eyes lit up. "I have his letters," she said, rushing to her wooden box. 3 handwritten letters, one still smelling faintly of palm oil and rain. The handwriting elegant, warm, nothing like the cold, blocky scrawl of the forged note. They needed someone credible to speak out. "Oh," Silas made a call. Justice Olomide, a retired high court judge, once known for his firm stance on integrity. The brothers met him in his quiet Yaba home. Mina handed him the letters. He read them in silence, then spoke, voice trembling with age. "This man was not a liar. I remember him. He once came to me seeking help. I turned him away, and it has haunted me since." The next day, the judge stood before national press. "One of these letters is a lie. I, Justice Alamide, will testify." His words shattered Odewale's mask. Sponsors pulled out, investigations reopened, and Chief Odewale's empire began to crumble. Weeks later, in the same village where Mina once gave her only food to three muddy boys, the OC Foundation Children's Home opened its doors named after her father. Painted in bright earth tones, it stood proudly beside the river that had once nearly swallowed their futures. That evening, under the mango tree, Silas held a small ebony ring carved from the tree they once hid beneath. "Mina," he said softly, kneeling, "you gave us life when we had none. Will you marry me?" Her answer was a tearful, trembling smile. "Yes," she whispered, "not just to you, but to life, to healing, to everything we almost lost." And as lanterns lit up the sky, the river below carried not sorrow, but joy. The girl who was once forgotten had become unforgettable, and the story that began in ashes ended in light. The end. What's your take on this story? The river between us is more than a tale of survival. It's about memory, sacrifice, and how even the smallest act of kindness can ripple through generations. Now, we'd love to hear from you. What part of Mina's journey moved you the most? Do you believe truth can truly rewrite the past? Which character did you connect with the most, Silas, Mina, Jabari, or Keon? Share your thoughts in the comments below or tag us in your post. Your voice matters. If this story touched you, do one thing. Like this post video to help it reach others who need a little hope. Comment below with your favorite quote or moment. Share this story with someone who might be carrying silent wounds. Subscribe or follow for more powerful African stories rooted in truth, grace, and healing. Let's build a community where stories like Mina's are not forgotten but honored.